Hey there, friends and enemies. JoPa here again, and today we got the Diablo 4 Season 1 patch notes, and these things are chunky. I'm not going to go over all of them because there's a lot to check out, but players are furious about a few things, and I wanted to kind of talk about that and why I think the build changes that we're going to see for Season 1 might not be as bad as people are making it out to be right now. So, first and foremost, we got the new unique items announced. Definitely check these out. These all sound very, very cool. We got the Havarian Spear of Lycander. We've got the Azure Wrath. We've got the Flesh Render, Lidless Wall, as well as the Eagle Horn Bow. And then for the Sorcerer, we have the Oculus. All of these sound like they could be very, very interesting, especially the Oculus. You look at that teleport for free, could be very nice. We also got 7 new legendary aspects coming: Audacity, Craven, Ancestral Charge, then Subterranean, Gore Quills, Pestilent Points, and Searing Wars. Pestilent Points, especially, I think a lot of people are feeling like that one's going to be pretty spicy. Overall, these could be very interesting, and it'll be wild to see how this changes which classes people dive into season one with, because I think that's really what this plan is for, right? We don't want there to be the same meta from launch all the way through season one, because that does get a bit boring. So they are trying to shake things up. They're trying to introduce new things, and they're nerfing and buffing things as well to really try to shake up the meta and shake up the way builds are made, because I think the beauty of making a new character with each and every season is hoping that the whole game feels fresh. Like there's something different to chase, something new to build, something new to plan around as you are making your characters. So while people are naturally going to be frustrated because their Eternal Realm characters are not as good, their builds are destroyed from what they were using, once they find those new, hot, fresh builds, including some of these aspects, including some of these unique items, then we're going to see where the game stands and if it's kind of rejuvenated that we would hope to see from season one launch. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to work, because some of these sound like they could be very, very interesting, and I'm just excited to check all of them out and chase them for myself. We also have a lot of bug fixes, which is good. I think there's a hefty amount here, and a lot of them are absolutely necessary. The game still does have some frequent bugs pop up from time to time, which is standard in an ongoing live service game like this, but it's nice to see that a lot of them are getting addressed. However, whenever we see a patch, I'm glad the patch released early, so this patch is available right now. Make sure you download it. Make sure you log into one of your main characters in order to get all of the altars of Lilith and the unlocking of the map that you have that will translate to your other characters as well, including your seasonal characters. So do that for sure before season one launch, and hopefully some of these issues that are potentially going to pop up will be found out before season one does launch, because I know that can be an issue, especially when you drop a heavy patch like this. Now, they also fixed a bunch of issues. This one specifically with the Hammer the Ancients build. It's gonna seem like a nerf, but really it's a bug fix, so keep that in mind. I think that's gonna hammer a lot of people who are frustrated that their favorite build got nerfed, but again, it is more of a bug fix than a straight nerf, even though it does feel like one. Then we've got some other fixed issues with pretty much every single character. Hopefully all of these are going to make the game feel better overall, but we're going to have to wait and see. Again, a lot of these bug fixes, I'm not going to go over each and every one. They did adjust a lot of things with Hell Tides and the Fields of Hatred as well, which I think is going to be pretty important going forward as far as what types of content you're going to want to be grinding. They've really tried to lean into the Nightmare Dungeons being the main source of endgame, whereas Fields of Hatred, they've actually made some adjustments as well, which is going to be interesting. They've increased the cost for the chest of mysteries, and then also increased the amount of materials that you get on drops from enemies and then random spawns. So definitely keep that in mind as well. UI and interface changes, and then some miscellaneous updates as well. Loading screen updates. So these are the gameplay updates that I'm very excited about. Altar of Lilith account wide. Again, like I said, log in with your primary character in order to have those be unlocked across all your different characters, including seasonal, although it doesn't work from standard to hardcore, so keep that in mind as well. Map discovery is now account wide. Whispers will no longer drop reward, or will no longer reward signal dust. Overall loot quality, has been significantly improved for Silent Chest. Good thing. Don't know if it'll be viable yet, but that is a change. Uh, they generally reduce the tendency for monsters to move around for melee characters. They've also dungeon renown rewards available, side quest renown increased. So again, it's gonna push you to want to actually do side quests and dungeons for your renown for your map upgrades. So the change is retroactive, and the additional renown gain will be applied to all characters who have already completed side quests and dungeons. So definitely log in and get those updates as well. They are increasing bonus loot and then monsters dropping more items on World Tier 2, which is nice. Level scaling inside dungeons is going to be changed with players having capped levels or enemies having capped levels based on where the player's level is, which I think is a good thing just to kind of level things out and keep things pretty even as you're going through, and you can feel a little bit more powerful because you are over leveled for some of these experiences. So reward experience for completing whispers in the World Tier 3 and 4 has been significantly increased. That's good. I like that a lot. You want the biggest issue is once you hit like level 84, 85, the grind to level 100 is tedious. So having multiple ways to generate experience is massive. So we are adjusting bonus reward experience rewards for killing monsters that are higher level than the player. Again, I think that's a good thing. We are also adjusting experience rewards for monster level assets for higher world tiers. So again, more experience, which is good in my opinion. For example, you're level 1, your friend brings you to World Tier 4 and leave you at the entrance of the dungeon. They start killing level 100 monsters. Prior to season level Malignant, you get 1 plus 25%. After you get... so essentially they buffed that. So they changed that. So that's one of the... Essentially a nerf. If you've had people carry you up to level 100... that's no longer going to be viable because you're not going to get nearly the amount of experience. You're still getting a nice chunk of a difference, but this is going to push you to try to do the content yourself, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think everyone wants to get boosted, but it is what it is. Looking to increase the danger in Helltide's risk-reward gameplay by making the monsters a bit more challenging and the Tortured Gift of Mysteries harder open. I mean, the Tortured Gift of Mysteries was the only thing that was really viable, so that's a little bit of a bummer. All interactables now have a small chance of dropping Aberrant Cinders, and then Helltide monsters are 3 levels higher instead of 2. Okay, so this is where they get into the balance updates. They kind of go into everything individually, as well as some aspects and items. Overall, what you need to know is there's a lot of nerfs in these to some of your favorites. Especially, they changed up vulnerable damage. They changed up critical damage, critical rate, all that kind of good stuff. Really to make those less necessary on a lot of builds. Cooldowns as well. When you have cooldown percentage chances on your items, they reduce the effectiveness of that as well. All of that is to try to encourage people to include more variety in what they're chasing, as far as their stats, as far as their roles, as far as their what aspects they're using specifically as well. So all of these, like I said, there's a lot of these patch notes. They're quite a bit. You definitely check these out for yourself. I think I could do a breakdown of each and every class, what builds I think are going to be meta. I'll probably do a video on that tomorrow where I go over which builds I think are going to be able to shine for each class in Season 1. But ultimately, this conversation pulls back to something that I think a lot of PvE players don't think that things should get nerfed. They want everything to get buffed. But one of the issues with this game is a lot of people have already been saying as you get to the higher levels, it already feels too easy. So while they've not necessarily made the game harder in and of itself, nerfing some of these extremely high performing builds is necessary so that they can rebalance other things. Other builds, this is what people always forget. As somebody who's played looter shooters, regular looters, every game like this, other builds will rise up to take the place of old favorites. We'll see with the new items in the seasons, with the buffs that we get from that, we're going to see new things rise, and we're already going to be more powerful than we were at the start of Diablo 4. And so now we're going to see that with a change in what the meta is and the change in the way you're going to actually build the characters. And I think that's a good thing overall, because the worst thing that can happen for a game like Diablo 4 or any looter in general is stagnation. Anytime the game becomes like this is the only build or type of build that you can run, it's the only good one in the game, and everyone has to run it, this is the only class that's really viable, all of that kind of stuff will lead to the game being boring. They need to shake it up dramatically every single season. People are not going to like nerfs. I think that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot. But for me, I am excited about this. I do think there was enough buffs in there as well to make a lot of things viable. I mean, I'm personally interested in trying out Necromancer and Druid next season, even though I was a Sorcerer. I do feel like, as far as the classes go, Sorcerer got a little bit of the short end of the stick. But again, we'll have to wait to see how the new items and aspects perform to see if one of these sorcerer builds is going to actually rise up to the top and be insane. So I think that's a definite possibility and something that we have to take a step back whenever we see these patch notes. Let everything settle for a minute, try some things out, test some builds, and really see for yourself how these builds, these new gear sets, all that kind of stuff, how it's all going to flow together, and if we're going to be able to create something even more powerful than we were before. Because I think that's the case, and I think a lot of people are just jumping the gun a little bit in the outrage. Now, I understand people being frustrated, your favorite build gets nerfed, but overall, I think it's a necessary evil of games like this, and I think it's something that a lot of folks just don't don't enjoy, and that's fair enough. But I think over the course of time, I've played enough of these games. I've been creating builds and stuff for these games long enough to understand that it's going to happen. Nerfs are going to happen. Buffs are going to happen. Metas are going to change, and ultimately that's a good thing in order to keep the game feeling fresh. So overall, yeah, I'm very curious to see how this all shakes out. These patch notes are definitely chunky. So what I would highly recommend is checking out the patch notes for yourself, seeing where it's going to adjust and change for your specific play style. But overall, yeah, it sounds like it's going to be absolutely insane, and I can't wait to get into season 1 of Diablo 4. I'm still going to have fun with the game regardless of the changes, and I hope you are too. My name is Jopa. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, helps me out tremendously. Shows you want to see more Destiny or Diablo 4 content. Sorry, I'm so used to Destiny on the channel. Diablo 4 content, definitely stay tuned for that. Like, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. I hope you have a good one. I'll catch you all later.